Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the TradeStation Getting Started series. Today, we're going to focus on OptionStation Pro and some of its functionality. So I appreciate the time that you've taken out of your schedules to be here and learn about OptionStation Pro. So let me go ahead and get started here. We're going to go through some of the disclosures and introductions. For those that are new to TradeStation, my name is Jesus Nava. I'm the Director of Client Training and Education for TradeStation Securities. It is my job to help you with the TradeStation platforms and make sure that you have a good grasp on functionalities so that you can focus on what you do best, which is trading and analyzing the markets. The disclosures, keep in mind that every symbol and idea that I talk about is for educational purposes only. These are not recommendations of TradeStation. Also, that active trading is not suitable for everyone, especially when it comes to trading options, which carry a high degree of risk. Any past historical performance is no guarantee of future results. We all need to be aware of that. And for any details on these disclosures, please visit www.tradestation.com/important-information. All right, everyone. Thank you for being here. I'm going to switch over to my TradeStation platform and introduce OptionStation Pro to you. By the way, the chat is open. You're welcome to submit any questions to us as we go along. Ricardo, hi, how you doing? It's great to see you. I hope you're doing well. So let's go ahead and get started. This is a chart or a 5-minute chart of Microsoft. It doesn't really matter because once we are inside of the TradeStation platform, in order for you to access OptionStation Pro, you're going to have to go up here to the apps menu to launch it. One of the buttons here should say OptionStation Pro. Here it is. They're all in alphabetical order, if that helps you. Let me go to OptionStation Pro, and this launches separately from TradeStation. So it's not confined within a TradeStation workspace. It just launches separately. And it does remember, what you were doing last so that it opens up with the information that you were looking at when you were, using OptionStation Pro last time. Let me go ahead and I think I have it open already. Okay. And you can see that I have Bank of America loaded here inside of OptionStation Pro. One of the things you can do is link your TradeStation platform to OptionStation Pro so that OptionStation Pro, it's automatically loaded on the underlying security that you want to analyze. Becomes very, very useful. And let me show you how to do that. You see right here, this yellow button that has an S on it. This is a symbol link button that is automatically turned on for OptionStation Pro. And the rounded, left side of the button just means that it's a global link. Now, this is automatically turned on to yellow. You can change it to any other color by clicking on this little drop down, but the global link allows you to be on TradeStation, like, for example, this chart. And if I had this chart also globally linked under the yellow color, here's the link, yellow global symbol link. Notice that it has that same rounded edge on the left-hand side. If I were to change this to any other symbol, like let's go here to Disney, DIS, I hit enter. So this should have sent a request to change the symbol, not only here on this chart, but also on OptionStation Pro. Now, if I load up OptionStation Pro, you can see that Disney is a symbol that is now loaded right here at the top of my TradeStation. So that's symbol linking. Sometimes it's convenient, especially if you're going through a list of symbols in a watch list, radar screen, or you just want to be on the symbol that you're analyzing. Symbol link can expedite that process of changing the symbol quickly. Okay, so there are 4 tabs in OptionStation Pro that you have to be aware of, and they're right here at the bottom left of your platform, because many times you're going to be using OptionStation Pro and you're going to come back to it. And remember what I said earlier, that OptionStation Pro remembers what you were doing and it'll send you to the last tab that you were on. So if you were doing some analysis, it'll take you here. If you're managing your orders and positions, it'll take you to the Manage tab. Or if you were searching for options, it'll take you to the Search tab. So OptionStation Pro at any moment may look a little bit different than what you are expecting, just because it knows where you were last time you were using it, it'll send you there. But be aware that at the bottom left, you have a way of switching tabs and go to the right tab that you want to be on. On the Options tab, again, I mean, all these tabs, regardless of the one you're in, you're always going to see the underlying asset at the very top, which is convenient. The underlying asset information can be changed. If you right-click on the column headers and click on Customize Columns, you can add more data or remove some of the data columns that are there. I think on my OptionStation Pro, I removed some of the columns to simplify the data that I was looking at the very top. Now, the bid and ask prices here on my OptionStation Pro are also clickable. The clicking inside of OptionStation Pro can be adjusted so that it behaves in two different ways. You can click to trade, which generates a trade bar right here at the bottom, or you can click to analyze so that it sends you to the analysis tab. The clicking behavior is controlled by this little drop down on the top right corner. By default, it's set to trade. So if you click on the bid, for example, the bid price of Disney, notice how the trade bar pops up from the bottom, allowing you to trade. Since I click on the bid, it's a selling transaction. So it's going to short 100 shares of Disney. This is not options, of course, because we are clicking on the underlying asset panel. So if you click on the bid and ask of the underlying asset, then it'll assume that you want to trade shares of that asset. So clicking on the ask here is going to change my trade bar at the bottom to a buying transaction. So we click on the ask to buy, we click on the bid to sell. So those two prices are clickable, and it'll just allow you to trade the underlying asset. Let me go ahead and hide my trade bar. There's a little button here on the far right next to the green place order that allows you to hide it. So at any given moment, if you don't need the trade bar anymore, you just click there. So yeah, the behavior here, or the trade behavior, does that. It just pops up the trade bar. Now, if I had set it to analyze trade, and I go here and I click on the asking price, it'll send me right here into the analysis. It'll create a graph of my position, and it'll give me details right here at the bottom about what that position entails. You can see that this is a buying transaction of the underlying. The symbol here right here is Disney. It has no expiration, 100 shares. And you can see the P&L layout of that position. Of course, we're going to take a look at, the analysis graph once we establish a theoretical position, so you can see some of the functionality here. Let me go back here. Oh, if you do create this theoretical position like I just did, this is a theoretical, what is called here a simulation. If you look at the panel title, it says positions and simulations. So sometimes I refer to them as theoretical positions or simulated positions, but they're basically the same thing. Since we clicked on the asking price of Disney, we clicked on the asking price and the click to drop down was set to analyze, it automatically creates a simulated position in the analysis tab. If you want to remove it very quickly, you can just right click on the main row and then just click on delete position. You also have a little menu here on the far right. Looks like a hamburger menu, but where you can delete all simulations altogether. So if you've clicked, on the bid or ask and didn't realize that you were sending positions to the analysis tab, and now you have a whole list of positions that you want to get rid of, rather than right click on each one separately, you can just click on that little menu and delete all simulations. It'll clear your view. Okay, because this section right here at the bottom of the analysis tab not only shows you those simulated positions, but it also shows you your real positions. If I had any open positions for Disney, they would show here. Any options positions or any security positions as well. let me go over here to the options tab and show you some functionality about the options chain. As for a default, OptionStation Pro will load all expirations. You can see that my expirations for Disney go all the way up to the year 2027. So there's 849 days until that group of options expires. That's what that number in parentheses represents, just the number of days remaining until expiration. Some of the weekly and quarterlies are going to be clearly defined as weekly and quarterly, and the ones that don't have a qualifier will be the monthly expirations. These buttons on the far left allows you to expand the view. So let me go ahead and expand my October options, and you can see the strikes right here in the middle. So from here, most of the options platforms, they pretty much are similar. We have calls on the left-hand side, puts on the right-hand side. There's also a shading going on behind the prices and values. When you see a lighter shade, those are options that are in the money. And when you have the darker background, those are options that are out of the money. Okay, just creates that separation for you. Somewhere in between, it's going to be the last traded price of the underlying asset. Disney is trading at $93 as we speak, and that's right there in the middle of where those shadings begin. On the far right, you also see average implied volatility. Even though each one of these options has its own implied volatility, I've added my implied volatility column. The same way that you can modify the columns here on the asset panel, you can do the same thing in the options change by right-clicking. Well, this time it's not right-clicking. I wish it would be consistent on the menu, because if you right-click on the columns up here, you get the customized column. But if you right-click on the columns here, you get nothing. So those are things that irk me a little bit about functionality in OptionStation Pro. And engineering, hears me out many times because I tell them, why was this designed this way? But don't worry, the functionality is there. You just have to go over here on the far right and click on configure. Once you click configure, you have the menu to customize columns. And here you have all different valuations and metrics that you can enable or disable. If you want to remove any of the columns, you can do that as well. Implied volatility is something that is available on each particular option leg. And then we have the average implied volatility here on the main expiration row. But the only problem with implied volatility is that if I go here to the spread selector and I say, show me counter spreads, if I open any of these, you can see that, well, not at this one. Let's see. Okay, I was thinking about something else. Okay, so yes, you have a way of adding implied volatility and seeing the volatility of each one of these options. One thing that I wanted to point out also is this number in parentheses on the far right. That is expected move based on the implied volatility. There's an expectation of how far the prices are going to move based on, the prices of options. And as you can see, the plus and minus in this particular example that we're looking at, which is Disney, and I'm looking at options that expire in October, it says a plus minus 5.21. So the expectation is that Disney will move $5.21 up or down. It doesn't really give you direction, but it does tell you, how volatile the prices of Disney is and what is expected move. Now that expected move, the $5.21, is also reflected here in the strike column with a light shade of gray. So you can see, the probability of movement and how the strikes display on top of that shade. So you can see that the 85 strike price on this expiration has less chances of getting, hit or traded than the 90. The 90 is within the movement or the probability of movement and has a little bit more probability of being hit. So a lot of this information helps you, determine which strategy is the one that you want to implement for this particular underlying asset. Are you thinking that the prices will be steady and maybe consolidating, or are you expecting the prices to rally, and you're in the bullish mode, or are you in the bearish mode? So whatever the strategy is, knowing what the probability or the likelihood of prices moving in either direction is, it's going to help you decide not only which strategy, but also which strike prices to pick. Okay. Again, the bid and ask prices here are also clickable, and they are responsive based on what you select up here, if you want to trade them or if you want to analyze them. If I want to trade them, let's say, for example, that I want to trade a call of Disney, and I'm going to choose a in-the-money call. This is a 90 strike. I know the shares are trading at 93, so notice that this is going to cost me $4.80 to buy that call. If I click it, then you can see how the trade bar pops up from the bottom. My limit price is automatically set to the mid price. So notice that even though I clicked on 480, my trade bar gets ready to submit an order at the midpoint between the bid and the ask. If you want to change that, you can click on this natural button. This is a quick way to switch to the natural pricing. That means that you're going to buy at the current ask and you're going to sell at the current bid. But again, these buttons are quick buttons to populate the price here inside of the limit price. And of course, you can adjust that price manually if you want, If I wanted to, get filled at 465 instead, I can just, put in that price and submit my order this way. Okay. The midpoint or the default midpoint is controlled by a setting of OptionStation Pro. If you click on the settings button here on the top right corner, and you click on the common tab on the left, notice that there's an option here that says use midpoint as price. I don't think this will affect the order bar though. So use midpoint as price. Let's see. Unchecked. Use natural price for the market price calculation. Interesting. So it's for the market price calculation. Mostly, if I click here, okay, now it's using the actual price. So it does affect, the price that goes right here into the trade bar. So if you want to trade at the bid or at the ask and not have to, have your order or the trade bar be set at the midpoint between the, the bid and the ask, then you know where to change that. Okay, perfect. Let's go ahead and also show you a couple things. On the trade bar, you're going to see information such as maximum profit and maximum loss. Of course, the maximum loss is 480 because that's what the option costs. So it's going to cost us $4.85. The max loss here is based on what the limit price of your order is. If I get filled at 480, my cost is $480, and that's my maximum loss because this option can expire worthless. Now, of course, my maximum profit has the infinity symbol because Disney can go up indefinitely and provide me, unlimited profits, which there's no such thing as unlimited profits, but it's just in an analysis or theoretical world, yes, Disney can go up in price indefinitely, but very unlikely. So that's great information because it also allows you to gauge what the risk reward of this position is going to be. Let me go ahead and submit this trade. I'm going to submit it at a little bit lower than what it's trading at. I'm going to do it at $4.60 because I want to show you how to manage that order. I'm going to send it, place the order, and say yes. And you can see how the order goes. Right here at the bottom, you can see that it was received. The buy to open one Disney, October 2024, 90 call at $4.60. If you want to manage that order, just go here to manage. Yes, Ricardo, to the moon, profits to the moon. That's how we all like it, right? Okay, so here on the Manage tab is where you manage orders and positions. And you can see that the Manage tab of OptionStation Pro is divided in two panels. You have orders at the top, and then you have positions at the bottom. So you have a good glance at where your account stands. My two boxes are pretty much empty, meaning that I don't have any open positions right now on my simulator. I only have one single order or active order up here, and that's the order that I just placed. This is a buy to open Disney, and you can see that I'm looking for a price of 460. Of course, you can manage that trade from within OptionStation Pro. If I right click, I have the ability to cancel replace or cancel the order. Let me go ahead and do a cancel replace because I may just up the price a little bit more. Let's go here to 475 and see what happens. I upped my price at 475. You can see how it was updated here in my active order. It hasn't gotten filled yet. The asking price is $4.80. So let me go ahead and change the price to $4.80 and see if I get filled. Okay, sometimes I see this behavior in the simulator. I went to 480. The natural pricing is 480 and it still doesn't get filled. Let me go up 5 cents more.
Order
that
filled.
gets filled. That wasn't a good fill price. It filled at 485, even though the natural price here sells 480. That's interesting. Okay. Maybe just an issue with the simulator. If anything happens to an order and you have questions about filling and execution, you should call the trade desk directly because they have the ability to track that order and see exactly what happened. On the simulator, it's not really something that the trade desk works with. So if you're still using the trading simulator and you see issues like this, you have to call technical support. Maybe the server needs to be reset or something, but a lot of times, fills we try to make the fills as closely as possible to the real market, but always remember that this is a trading simulator and odd things can happen. But I did get filled. Let me go back here to manage. You can see how the row of my order changes color. And we match the color of the TradeStation platform's trade manager. If you go to the trade manager, you can see that the status of the order correlates to a specific color. So blue is filled, kind of orangey is canceled, and then the gray. What's the gray? The gray is an active order. So we saw the active order here was a gray background, but yeah, the color will change and it'll enhance the visual of what's filled and what's not. I have my positions down here now. You can see that I went from an empty panel to showing this information. Single one at 18 October. Now, 18 October is the expiration date. 90 is the strike, and the type of option is a call. If you want to break down the details, you always have a plus sign right here on the left-hand side that expands and gives you details on your position. Long, one contract, the expiration, the strike. So it just breaks it down a little bit more for you. But you do have a summary row that gives you P&L, and it gives you delta, and it gives you the maximum loss. So you can see that my open P&L right now is a -10 because the price of the option dropped, 10 cents from my entry price. I remember that I got filled at 485. Okay, and it gives me the estimated closing price right here based on current prices or current bid and ask as well. Okay, so let's suppose that, of course, we're expecting Disney to go up. This is a Disney option position. So instead of trading the underlying outright and spending close to $10,000, we purchased an option for $485, a fraction, very minimal fraction of that, and still can benefit from the upside of Disney. Now, if Disney goes in the opposite direction, we can probably get out of this position and recover some of that cost. We can sell it maybe for lower than what we bought it at, but maybe not lose the whole $485. That's something that we could do. So let's say, for example, that we would like to set up some sort of a condition where if Disney does not go to the does not go in the direction that we expected, react to that and do something else. Let's talk about that in just a moment. Okay, Ricardo is asking why sometimes the open P&L value in OptionStation Pro is not the same as open P&L value in the Trade Manager. No big issue, just curious. It's got to be, the mathematical formula that's being used. Now, the details of that mathematical formula is the question, because I believe, well, you can see that the P&L here inside of my OptionStation Pro is just looking at the price that I got in and the price that the option is being priced at the moment, because and this is just using bid and ask. This call that I purchased, the 90 call, it's priced at 480, 490, and you can see that those prices are transferred here in the estimated closing cost. The estimated closing cost is $480 because it's looking at the price that I'm going to be able to sell this option at. Okay, so it's just straight bid and ask information right here inside of OptionStation Pro. If I were to go to the Trade Manager, let's go ahead and see what the Trade Manager says. Apps and Trade Manager. Okay, so this is my Trade Manager window. Let me open this up. I see my order right there filled. Let me go to my open positions. And in my open positions here's my Disney position. If you see on row 6, it shows me a P&L, open P&L of $10 loss because it's not going, well, it is going by the bid. The ask is 485. So it's showing a negative $10 there, and it's showing negative $10 here. Yeah, so it is matching. Maybe for some others, they may not match. You may be right in that. But in this particular example, for my Disney position, it's showing me that I got in at 485. The current bid is 475, which translates into a $10 loss. So it's also using the bid and ask to calculate the value of my position. Have you seen this in particular positions, Ricardo? Just let me know, okay? Let's go over here to OptionStation Pro. I did talk about a conditional order where we get out if the price of the underlying is not going in the direction that we expect. So what we're looking for, let's go here to my option chain. We bought this strike of 90, right? We know that the price of Disney is at 93.24. As the price maybe drops below 90, the value of this option, of course, is going to drop as well. So rather than lose the complete $485, what I'm intending to do is get out of the position before it loses that maximum. So I'm going to say if the price of Disney drops to, let's say 89, so it's still, $4 away from that. But if it drops to 89, I want to get out of my option. And that's going to be, it's going to act as a stop. So let's go here to the Manage tab and come here to my position. I'm going to right click on it and say, close this position. This will allow you to enter a trade to close my position based on my pricing or my activation conditions. Let me go here to close this position. And notice that my trade bar pops up again and I have a selling transaction. And it automatically populates, the information for the position that I right-clicked on. This is the only position that I have for Disney. So here I can say, I have no way, well, if I look at the boxes that are visible, I have no boxes to enter the price of the underlying, because we said if Disney drops to 89, how do I get rid of this? I need to check the box here for activation rule and click on the ellipsis. to format the activation rule. And in the activation rule dialog, I'm going to turn on the price. And of course, I'm going to be looking at the price of Disney. So DIS, and I'm going to add it. So now I can tell OptionStation Pro to look at the price of Disney and say, well, if Disney is trading at or below $89, it has to be trading below or at $89. Here's a single trade tick. It's important for options traders to look at this, because single trade tick is expecting, for Disney to have traded at 89. There's got to be a record of a trade at 89. If you go to this drop down, you can select other behaviors. Usually stops at TradeStation, they just look at the price that is traded and triggers the stop, and it'll be automatically triggered. A lot of times, traders may want to do a double check just to make sure that the price has been hit. Like in addition to having a single trade tick, you want the tick to also be within the national best bid offer. That's what NBBO stands for. And STTN just stands for single trade tick. Okay, trade within. So NBBO. So this will do a double check where it checks not only the trade price, but also checks the bid and ask information to make sure that the price is also within the bid and ask information. So understand all the different options you have here. If you have questions, we have help documentation on each one. If I click on help from here, from this dialog, it'll come here to placing orders with activation rules. But if you look below, there's going to be a paragraph that has a link to activation trigger type. And if I click there, then you'll see all the single trigger, double trigger, twice trigger, or trigger types for activation. Let me go here to trigger types for activation rules. All right. And then you have examples for equities, and you have examples for options. So make sure that you go in here. If you want to change the way that your stops are triggered, then this is useful information to look at. Single trade tick is the default. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just a quick activation of your order if it sees a trade tick on the tape. I'm going to click OK. Now, what happens now is that if Disney drops to 89, I have no idea what the price of the option is going to be. I know it's going to be lower than $4.85, which is the price that I paid for the option right now. I mean, with Disney trading at 93, but if it drops to 89, I would expect the price of this option to drop as well. So this is like selling it for less than what we bought it at, but at least we're not incurring the maximum loss. So here, since I don't know the price of this option, if Disney drops to 89, I can do an estimation. But then if I send an order with a specific price, I may end up with an order that doesn't get filled at all, that stays in the market and says, well, you specified a price, and the price that it's trading at is completely far away from what you wanted. So whenever you set an activation rule like this one, what I use instead is a market order, because a market order will usually get filled at current bid or current ask. If the market is volatile, you also have to be aware of slippage, because one thing is the price that you expect your order to get filled at, but if there's high volatility and high volume, prices may shift rapidly, and a market order is open to that shift in prices as well. So this is a market order with an activation rule to close my position of Disney if it drops to 89. And that's how you do an activation rule on an order. In fact, if I wanted to do, oh, by the way, how much time do we have? Okay, we have a few minutes left. So let's go on to something different so that I can show you a couple more things. Let me go here to options. Of course, we have the spread selector up here that allows you to build spreads. So I can say, give me iron condors. It builds iron condors by pairing up strikes. Iron condors, of course, have 4 legs. You can see 4 different strikes right here in the strike columns. It automatically puts the strikes together, and it gives you a combined price between those legs. So it's useful for you to see the price of what you're trading. And of course, you can trade the iron condor also building it yourself. Let me go back here and set my spread selector back to single. I'm going to choose to show a little bit more strikes by going here to the strike column. And I can say, give me, I'm going to click on the 85 so that it sends that leg here to the trade bar. And I'm going to hold the control key. The control key on the keyboard, it's useful. And I want you to locate it on your keyboard because holding down the control allows you to add more legs to my trade bar. So let's say, for example, that I buy the 85 and I'm going to sell the 75. So I'm going to hold down the control key and click on the bid price of the 75 strike. This will say send a selling transaction. Notice that it's red. So the visuals in OptionStation Pro are if it highlights it in blue, it's a long call or put. And if it highlights it in red, it's a short call or put. And remember that if you hold down the control key, you can continue adding. Notice that by selecting those 2 legs, I'm already trading a vertical here, but I can continue selecting by holding down my control key. And I'm going to, buy the 100, and I'm going to sell the 110. By doing that, notice that I've built my own iron condor. And of course, I can adjust the iron condor by clicking and dragging. For example, if I want to widen the distance between the 2 wings, let's say that I want to short the 65 instead, and then long the 75. Notice that I'm just clicking and dragging to a different strike. And you can do that, and it adjusts your trade bar automatically. So that's a pretty cool feature and functionality that you can use in TradeStation. You can analyze a trade. So this will send this iron condor over to the analysis so we can see the graph, or you can trade it. Let me place this trade because I want to show you something interesting. I'm going to go here to market so that I can get executed immediately and place the order.
Order filled.
I get filled. Notice that I get filled on the same expiration of the other position that we have in place. In fact, if I go to the Manage tab, notice that, let me collapse this so you can see. Notice that it shows you all the legs that you have that you've traded for Disney. It doesn't show me the iron condor, though. That's something that TradeStation does. It when you place a spread trade, it returns fill information on individual legs. Now, of course, you can rebuild your spread by clicking and dragging. So if I were to, click here and then click here and drag, I'm just dragging on top of each one of the rows. Notice that now it recognizes it. It says iron condor. Now I see all the individual legs of this iron condor and an overall trading price. So this iron condor, I'm losing $105. Of course, you can always reset it. If I right click on the iron condor, I can say reset position. Reset position just means give me back my single legs, because maybe I want to combine, let's see. Maybe I want to combine my 90, which is right here, with a 65 and create that vertical. Notice that if I open that up, it's a vertical using the leg that I got filled on earlier with one of the legs of the iron condor that I just traded. So it does allow you to manage these legs differently, or either enter or exit the trades in any imaginable combination. So it's a very flexible functionality that allows you to manage your legs. I'm going to right click on this vertical. Let's go ahead and reset, and then select the ones that I traded together, which were the 75 with the 65. And then the 110, I'm going to drop it there. And then the 120, I'm going to drop it there. So this gives you a pricing. Where's the price of this? The price is $20.04, $20.40, which has an estimated closing cost of 2,040. So maximum loss, maximum profit. We see the valuation here. We can also right click and analyze this position by analyzing a duplicate. If I do that, it sends the iron condor right here to my analysis graph. Notice that at the bottom, now I have my positions and simulations are kind of split, because now I'm looking at real positions that exist in my account in addition to the iron condor that I just created now. Remember when I right clicked on my position and I said, oh, let me analyze this trade or analyze a duplicate, it creates a simulation of that position. Of course, I don't need it. For example, I can right click and delete that position because I already have that position in place. So I didn't have to create a theoretical. I can just click on this check mark right here on the left-hand side, and whatever you trade is going to be sent right here into your graph. Okay, that's a little weird looking iron condor. The valuation of the today line, it's kind of weird. Notice that it's shifting as we speak, and it's all based on bid and ask information. There may be a little bit of a delay, but the white line should look more like what it does right now than what it does here on the right hand side. But this gives you a little bit more information about probabilities, and you can do slices. I like to come to the analysis just to create what if scenarios. For example, here we have one of the price slices is set to $95. Pin that to the last traded price. It'll show the price of Disney, 93.48, and you can see what the theoretical P&L is at any given moment. Right now, it's set to the green line, which is, I don't have it here, just one line. So if I go to the drop down here and I select show me right now, it has a theoretical P&L of $92 or $94 loss. So the graph does help you, determine where profitability is. So we know that on this graph, we're looking for Disney to come out of the range that it's trading at and either go higher or lower, because that's where profitability is. We don't want it to stay stagnant, because that's where the loss is. Notice that the maximum loss right now for this iron condor is $60. The maximum profit is $940, but the price has to move significantly for you to move out of that negative 60, even though it's minimal compared to the maximum profit. It requires a lot of movement, and you can see the movement down here because you see the prices of the iron line. In order for you to get out of the negative, the price would have to move either lower than this point, which is about $74, or higher than this point, which is about 110. Now, how likely is that to happen? Well, one telling graph or one telling indication is the shade of gray that you see in the background, because that's telling you probability of movement. Of course, this is one standard deviation, but if I increase that to 2, this is 2 standard deviations. So this is the probability of Disney moving in either direction based on implied volatility, which is interesting because now we have that probability of prices moving in either direction, and tells us what is the likelihood of this particular options position to make any money. In my opinion, and this is something that I'm seeing here, Disney would have to either drop significantly or increase significantly in order for you to be in the profitable side. Now we have some pinned templates here that you can select. For example, I can choose this one, -10, -5, last +5, and +10, which will automatically set prices price slices at each one of these percentages from the current trading price. If I select this one, notice that it'll add all those different prices. So as of right now, if Disney were to drop 10% or increase 10%, any of those values would still be in the negative side. You can see how those vertical slices line up with these vertical yellow lines, and it does provide you a quick way to analyze your trade. Let me go down and remove the pin here and just leave the last, and I can just type in a value here. So if Disney goes up to $120 right now, then you have a theoretical P&L of $181. And if you hold this position until expiration, let's set it to plot number 2, which is October 18th, days to expiration 0, you can see that the theoretical P&L is $940, which is my maximum profit. That's where you see the graph here pretty much flatline at the very top. But it does allow me to see, where the price needs to be in order for you to start making any money. If it's anywhere in between, let's say, for example, instead of 120, it's 114. So somewhere in this diagonal line, you see the theoretical P&L is not the maximum, but it's $340. So maybe, calculating your price movement and what is the likelihood of the price going in that direction is something that, the graph here can tell you and can help you determine. And again, let me add another one here, because if the price drops to, let's say, $70, then let me set this to all of them to plot number 2. You see if it goes up to 114, you make $340. If it drops to $70, you make $440. So either way or either direction, the price of Disney moves with an iron condor in this particular way, it's profitable. But it does have to move significantly for you to be in that profitability cone. So interesting. Let's see, how much time do we have? Oh, we pretty much ran out of time. Are there any questions about the functionality that I'm showing to you guys? Is there anything that you guys would like to see? Because from here, if I say, well, I can see where it's unlikely for this position to, maybe I need to tighten the spread a little bit. Maybe if I right click here and I close this position, let me close it at market.
Order filled.
Oh, this crashed my OptionStation Pro. How pretty. Well, it threw an error. Hopefully it didn't crash. Let me go here to my options. So if I were to trade a tighter iron condor, let's see. Let's analyze this trade. You see, if you analyze this trade, now this particular iron condor, we are within the shade of gray. So the probabilities of movement are in our favor. So that's something to think about when you're trading these spreads, that you can bring them over to the analysis tab and measure probability and measure those what if scenarios. All right. All right, that's my presentation for today. Remember that I do getting started classes every Wednesday. I open up the floor for Q&A. So if there's anything that you guys have doubts about or would like to be demonstrated, make sure that you join me every Wednesday at 10 a.m. That's Eastern time for a getting started class. We also do master classes on Tuesdays at 11. And bi-weekly, we're doing an options replay session where we talk about trades and positions that are profitable or not, and see the reasons why and what could you have done better to protect or reduce your risk. So make sure that you join us in any of those presentations. Keep an eye on the events calendar. We have all the sessions posted there. And if you have any questions, please reach out to us at education@tradestation.com. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for joining me.